Hey everybody, this video is going to be a little video series that people have asked me to talk about for almost 3 decades, and I really never talked about what I did before. So I've had a couple lives. If you know me from my channel, Junkyards and Barn Finds, you know I've been into cars my whole life, and I have. But also with cars, I flew in the Navy as a Navy air crewman. I also went to the film school at Florida State University. I've worked in movies. I've worked in television. I worked in TV news. And I also was a stagehand / whatever you call roadie for almost 15 years. So I started in the early 90s. And my last couple shows, I think, were around 2015. And I have been on concerts with U2, The Grateful Dead, Mariah Carey, Rush, Journey. Here is just a small bag showing all the different concerts and concert tours and stuff that I have been on, from the Rolling Stones to Metallica to Van Halen to Garth Brooks to George Strait. So I've had a lot of lives. I've also written 39 books and a couple movie scripts and such, and I've talked about this a little bit before. But right now, I'm going to do this series, and this is the first in the series, of where I'm going to talk about stuff that happens backstage. So there's a lot more stagehands. If you live in any major city or any city where there's a performance art hall or a concert stage, and you have concerts coming to your place, whether it's Lollapalooza type outdoor shows or whether there's a big stadium somewhere, I will bet you that within 4 or 5 blocks of you there's a stagehand. A lot are IATSE union, a lot are not union, and that's because there's shows called yellow card shows, which are union shows, which you can only work if you have a union card, and there's ones that some places don't have unions. So what I was going to do is I'm just going to kind of talk about some of the stories of things that happen at different places I've been or with different bands. Right now I have an injury to my leg, and so I'm not really able to go out to the racetracks and the car shows and everything right now. So I thought, people have been asking me for years to talk about being on a movie set, being on TV show sets, what happens backstage at rock concerts or country music concerts or whatever. Now, I'm not going to be throwing dirt on people, so if you're looking for me to sit here and say that this particular person is an a-hole or whatever, I'm not doing that. I'll just tell you some fun things, some good stories from behind the scenes of some of the shows that I've done over 3 decades. All right, so this is the first show, the first video in the series where I'm talking about life as a stagehand. And so let's go. Stagehand and a roadie are pretty much the same things. So you have stagehand, you have roadies. And roadies could be guitar techs. They're the guys that travel with the band. The roadies, if you're a, quote, roadie, you might travel with the band. You're probably the guitar tech, drum tech, take care of the instruments. Those are usually friends of the band or people they met who are professionals. And a lot of drum techs and guitar techs are better than the actual bands that they travel with. They just never got that break. You have your lighting world, audio world, sound world, speaker world, electrics, riggers. They're the ones that help build the stage. You've got your stage carpenters, stage electrics. You've got your stage carpenters do the scrims and all the curtains and all that kind of stuff. You have the pyro guys. So there's a whole mess of people. And believe it or not a whole lot of people travel with the groups themselves. There's a lot of professionals. Like myself, I've been on some tours, and then a lot of times if I wasn't on a tour, I might do the shows in Florida. I might show up and be called to go and do shows and be in like Tampa, Orlando, Pensacola, Jacksonville, Miami, and I'll just say I'm not going on the road, but I'll do all the bands here, because there's usually about 60 to 80 people that it takes, sometimes up to 300 people for like a Rolling Stones show outdoors or something, to where you need that many professionals that know what they're doing. So usually you start in this business and you start as a pusher, and they're the guys, you come in first and you basically start out just unloading trucks. So you're a pusher and a loader, And I'm not talking drug pusher. No, I'm not talking that. I'm talking pushing. You're actually pushing the road boxes, the big black boxes with wheels. So you unload the trucks. You do what's called the in, which is the unloading of the trucks and the building of the stage. And then you'll do what's called the out, which is coming in after the show and doing the putting everything back in the road boxes, and then the load out, which is loading up the tractor trailers and getting them out of there. And so usually you get paid 4 hours coming in, 4 hours going out, and then you have show calls, and you may have rehearsal calls. This depends. And the rehearsal calls are your sound checks and everything else that may happen, and that's usually after lunch. So the in usually goes towards lunch. Even if you don't work, you usually get paid for the 4 hours up till lunchtime, or whatever it takes to get the in. It could be an 8-hour in, just depends on the show. And then once the in is done, about 70% of the crew is released. Some people hang out, watch the show. Some people don't. The next would be the show call. That's if you're operating a spotlight, or you're working with the sound crew, or whatever, sound lights. You're doing something during the show that needs to be done. And so the show call is usually experienced people. You'll have one or two people that are learning it, but mostly experienced people that do it. You always have the road crew that's doing it, and then you have a lot of local guys who know what they're doing, so they'll stay there as well. And then you have the out, which is once the show's over, usually come in about a half an hour before the end of the show, start doing a teardown so you can get out really quick. The out is always faster than the in, because you're basically just breaking stuff down, throwing it in boxes, and getting it out of there. So you have those, and there are IATSE, which is the union around the country, and you have different unions that are part of this. So I'm going to tell you about different things that happen backstage. Some I was on the road crew, some I wasn't. This very first video is just a very short video about the 1994 Rush rehearsals for their tour, January of 94. And so we had that in Pensacola. At the time, I was going to film school, because I have a degree. I went to film school. I have a degree from FSU, my bachelor's degree. But I had just started film school in 94, winter of 94. And then I got called to go do a week of rehearsals with Rush. I believe it was a week. And I believe Candlebox was the opening act. I'll double check on that, but I believe it was Candlebox. But I went over there for Rush. And so I did take some pictures. Now, the pictures you're going to see, there's only 12 of them. These photographs, back in 1994, we didn't have cell phones that took photos. We didn't have cell phones. So basically, the photos you had, the 12 photos here, were made from you could go buy a camera for $10. It would have 12 picture. You had film in it for enough for 12 photographs. You took it, you dropped it off, got them developed. You couldn't see what they looked like when they were being shot, not like today, where if you mess up, you can take a photo over. So anyway, the photos you see here are photos that I've never published or anything. They're just photos of the rehearsals. That's why you don't see anything on the screen in the back. Any heads or anything you see in the front of me are other stagehands working. They're doing a sound check. The band, like Geddy Lee's up there, he sings. They don't just sing. Most bands, I think Rush does sing their songs only, but a lot of times the bands for sound check don't even sing their own songs. They'll sing other people's songs. Like Rock and Roll from Led Zeppelin is a favorite for a lot of people, a lot of bands and a lot of performers to sing. So that's what you're looking at. I wish they were better quality. They're not. They've been sitting in an envelope since 1995. So I just wanted to share them. There's no sense sitting in envelopes. People have asked me. So these are some of those pictures.